Okay. Yeah. So can you see my? I'm presenting the gravitation chapter, right? That you can see. Okay. So we will start with wherever we left last time. हमने last time जो केपलर के 3 लॉ थे वो हमने पढ़े थे, right? So this time we will start with universal law of gravitation, right? So let's read whatever written in this book. When the objects are released near the surface of Earth, they always fall down to the ground. ये हमें पता है कि अगर अर्थ की सरफेस के आजू बाजू में अगर हमने कोई भी ऑब्जेक्ट रखा तो it will fall on the earth, right? So what does it mean? The earth attracts the object towards itself. Earth attract करती है ऐसे objects को. Galileo pointed out that heavy and light objects, when released from the same height, falls towards the earth at the same speed. So Galileo ने बताया था कि दो कोई भी मतलब heavy या light objects हो तो they will fall at the same speed, right? From the same, if we release them from the same height, they will fall at the same speed. They have the same acceleration. बट हमें पता है कि आजू बाजू में मतलब हमने पहले वाले लेक्चर में ये सब पढ़ा था कि देयर शुड नॉट बी एयर रेजिस्टेंस, then only we can say that it will have the same speed, right? But due to air resistance, its speed changes. But if we assume that there is no air resistance, then this heavy and light object, they will fall at the same time with the same speed. So what does it mean? They have the same acceleration. So Newton went beyond the Earth and objects falling on it and proposed that the forces of attraction between masses is universal. So न्यूटन जो थे उन्होंने प्रपोज किया कि जो फोर्स होते हैं किसी भी टू masses के बीच में वो यूनिवर्सल होते हैं. So let's see. Newton stated that universal law of gravitation, which led to explanation of terrestrial gravitation. So उन्होंने जो स्टेट किया था उसमें उन्होंने यूनिवर्सल ग्रेविटेशन के बारे में बात कही है. It also explains Kepler's law and provides the reason behind the observed motion of planets around the sun. So जो न्यूटन्स जो लॉ थे about gravitation, it also provides the रीजन कि केपलर्स जो लॉ हमने 3 पढ़े हैं तो उनका रीजन कि ऐसे उनका बिहेवियर जो प्लैनेट्स के बिहेवियर या मोशन है वो ऐसे क्यों है, तो उसके पीछे भी रीजन उन्होंने बताया है. In 1665, न्यूटन स्टडीड द मोशन ऑफ मून अराउंड द अर्थ. तो न्यूटन ने अर्थ के अराउंड जो मून रिवॉल्व होते हैं तो उनके उनके बारे में स्टडी की. तो it was known that moon completes the revolution about the earth in 27.3 days. तो अगर हम अर्थ को कंसिडर करेंगे तो मून completes one revolution around the earth in 27.3 days, right? So the distance from the earth to the moon is 3 point. So ये distance कितना है? 3.85 into 10 raised to 5 kilometer. The motion of the moon is almost circular. तो हमने लास्ट लेक्चर में ये पढ़ा था कि जो मून की किसी भी प्लैनेट की ऑर्बिट है वो एलिप्टिकल हो सकती है, बट वी कैन एज्यूम दैट एज अ सर्कुलर ऑर्बिट. ओके, एंड सर्कुलर सो मोशन ऑफ द मून अराउंड द अर्थ इज सर्कुलर ऑर्बिट विद a constant angular speed of ओमेगा. तो उसकी जो एंगुलर स्पीड है वो हम कंसिडर करेंगे omega. Okay, as it is circular motion, the moon must be constantly acted upon by force directed towards the earth, which is the center of the circle. So अभी जो moon है वो circular motion में है, right? So इसका what does it mean कि ये जो moon के ऊपर है constantly एक force act हो रहा है, right? I will try to show it some with it's blue, right? It is acted by some constant force towards the earth, right? At the center of circle. This force is centripetal force. इस force को क्या कहते हैं? Centripetal. mr omega square. M है mass, r is a radius, and omega square is angular speed of moon. Okay. R is radius मतलब is distance between earth and moon. Okay. M is mass of moon. So that is one force which is acting toward the earth. Okay. Let me clear. This is the earth. This is the moon. And there is one force which is called centripetal force. Okay, that is F is equal to mr omega square. So m is the mass of the moon and r is the distance between the centers of motion and moon and earth. Also, we have F is equal to ma from Newton's law of motion, right? Mass into acceleration. So अगर हम mm cancel हो जाएगा, then remaining is a is equal to r omega square. As angular velocity in terms of time period is given as omega is equal to 2 pi by t. यहाँ time period is nothing but 27.3 days, right? So यहाँ से हम what we can calculate is substituting values of r and t, we get the a is equal to 0.0027 meter per second square. This is the acceleration of moon which is towards the center of earth, right? That is center of orbit in which the moon revolves. So ये कौन सा acceleration है? इस acceleration के साथ moon is revolving around the earth. Okay? So ये जो motion है तो उसका acceleration is nothing but this. Okay? Moon revolving around the earth. So ये acceleration है 0.0027 meter per second square. Okay. The value of acceleration due to gravity can be assumed to be constant when we are dealing with object close to the surface of Earth. Okay. जो भी values है acceleration की 9.81, वो जब भी हम अर्थ के अराउंड द सरफेस या वेरी नियर टू सरफेस है तो हम सब जगह वो कांस्टेंट लेते हैं. This is because the difference in the distance from the center of Earth is negligible. अगर हम अर्थ को कंसिडर करेंगे तो अर्थ के सेंटर का डिस्टेंस एंड द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन द ऑब्जेक्ट्स, राइट? व्हाट आर द ऑब्जेक्ट्स वी आर putting here, like table or chair or light or buildings, right? Building height. So it is not so high. It is not so length. So as compared to Earth radius. So we keep it as a constant. तो हम हमेशा constant gravitational acceleration use करते हैं. So there is another question: what could be the force which produces this acceleration? So अभी moon is revolving around the earth, right? So what is the acceleration which means जो acceleration हो रहा है, moon is revolving around the earth, so what is the force? हमें वो force कहाँ से आता है? So let's see what is that force. Newton assumed that laws of nature are the same for earthly objects. So this object is everywhere is same. And for celestial bodies, earthly objects is like planets, and then celestial bodies are like planets, then all stars. So these laws of nature is constant for all this earthly and celestial objects. As this acceleration is much smaller than the acceleration felt by bodies near the surface of Earth. As this acceleration, okay, is much smaller than the acceleration felt by bodies near the surface of Earth. Okay, so हम देख सकते हैं कि ये कितना कम है जो मून का एक्सेलेरेशन है. इट्स वेरी वेरी स्मॉल एज कंपेयर टू व्हाट वी आर यूजिंग लाइक 9.81, right? This acceleration is very very small, filled by bodies near the surface of earth. Surface जो हमारा अर्थ का सरफेस है उसके अराउंड हमें 9.81 हम ग्रेविटेशन एक्सेलरेशन लेते हैं, राइट? And this celestial body like moon is accelerating at 0.0027, right? बहुत कम है. So उन्होंने क्या कंक्लूड किया न्यूटन जी ने? लेट्स सी. He concluded that acceleration felt by an object due to gravitational force of the earth must be decreasing with the distance of body from the earth. So उन्होंने क्या कंक्लूड किया कि सपोज ये अर्थ है, ओके, अर्थ के नियर जो ऑब्जेक्ट्स हैं, राइट, इट विल हैव सम एक्सेलरेशन. बट जैसे ही डिस्टेंस बढ़ेगा, सपोज यहाँ हम दूसरा ऑब्जेक्ट रखेंगे, तो जैसे ही डिस्टेंस बढ़ेगा एक्सेलरेशन कम होगा, राइट? सो हमें 9.81 एक्सेलरेशंस जो हम अर्थ के नियर टू सरफेस है, बट मून इज ऑब्जर्विंग एक्सेलरेशन ऑफ 0.027, राइट? सो देखिए ऑब्जेक्ट एंड हमारा मतलब अर्थ के जो ऑब्जेक्ट्स है वो 9.81 एंड जो मून है उसका एक्सेलरेशन है 0.0027. सो अराउंड 3600 से मोर हमें यहाँ एक्सेलरेशन मिल रहा है नियर टू द अर्थ सरफेस, राइट? सो अभी देखते हैं डिस्टेंस ऑफ मून फ्रॉम अर्थ सेंटर एंड डिस्टेंस ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट फ्रॉम अर्थ सेंटर. सो अर्थ का जो सेंटर है वहां से 6378, सो अराउंड 60 टाइम्स ग्रेटर है द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन moon and earth and distance between earth center, right, which is on the surface of the earth. So अगर ये distance calculate किया जाए तो 60 times greater है. Thus from the above two equations we get that acceleration is nothing but square, like 60 square करेंगे तो 3600 आंसर आएगा, right? So Newton therefore concluded that the acceleration of an object towards the earth is inversely proportional to the square of distance of the object from the center of earth. What does it mean? Suppose ये earth है, तो अगर अर्थ के सरफेस पे एक बॉडी है या अर्थ इस यहाँ पे दो बॉडीज हैं, राइट? सो द एक्सेलरेशन डिपेंड्स ऑन द डिस्टेंस बिटवीन ऑब्जेक्ट एंड अर्थ सेंटर, राइट? एंड दैट इज प्रोपोर्शनल टू 1/r². तो उनके जो डिस्टेंस है उसके r² के इनवर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल टू r², राइट? सो अगर डिस्टेंस बढ़ जाता है तो एक्सेलरेशन कम हो जाता है. As F is equal to ma, so we know this rule, right? Force acting on any body's mass into acceleration. Therefore the force exerted by earth on an object of mass m at a distance r from it is F is equal to nothing but m divided by r². Similarly, an object also exert a force on the earth, right? So this object also has the gravity, right? So it will also apply the same force. So that force is nothing but m divided by r square. So जो moon होता है, that is also exerting a force. So that is proportional to m by r square. So according to Newton's third law of motion, the force on a body due to Earth has to be equal to the force on the Earth due to the object. So अगर हम ये Earth कंसिडर करेंगे और यहाँ एक body है, right? Suppose this is a moon or any body in the sky. So the distance, so force, one one force is acting towards the Earth and another force is acting towards the moon, right? So there are two forces acting by two masses, different masses. So अगर हम अर्थ को कंसिडर करेंगे डिफरेंट मास एंड मून को डिफरेंट मास. सो फर्स्ट हमने कंसिडर किया कि अर्थ कितना फोर्स मून पर लगा रही है, देन मून कितना फोर्स अर्थ पे लगा रहे हैं. But according to Newton's third law, we know that these forces should be same because they are in the equilibrium position, right? Hence, the force F is proportional to mass of the Earth. Hence, Newton concluded that the gravitational force between the Earth and object of mass m is F is nothing but proportional to m into m divided by r square. ये m है Earth का mass और ये है किसी भी body का mass. He then generalized it to gravitational force between any two objects. So पहले तो उन्होंने शुरुआत की अर्थ एंड ऑब्जेक्ट्स अराउंड अर्थ, then he then generalized it to the gravitational force by any two objects and then stated as a universal law of gravitation. So उन्होंने ये gravitational universal law of gravitation बनाया. So every particle of matter attracts every other particle of matter. So कोई भी particle हो तो वो दूसरे particle को attract करता है with the force which is directly proportional to product of their masses. So it depends on the जो भी दो body है उनके masses पे proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. Okay, so अगर हम कोई भी two body consider करेंगे, right? So it depends on the mass and the distance between these two objects, right? So इस प्रकार से उन्होंने ये यूनिवर्सल लॉ ऑफ ग्रेविटेशन दिया. This law is applicable to all material objects in the universe. Hence, it is known as universal law of gravitation. So ये जो law है, every mass in this universal उस पर apply होता है. Okay, so इसीलिए इसे universal law of gravitation कहते हैं. Suppose if two bodies of masses m1 and m2 are separated by distance r. So suppose two bodies हैं. Two bodies are separated by distance r, right? And mass is m1 and m2. So force between them is nothing but proportional to product of their masses divided by square of their distance, right? So this is proportionality. G is the proportionality constant, right? So where G is a constant known as universal gravitation constant. Okay, so ये universal gravitation constant कहा जाता है. इसका वैल्यू है 6.67 into 10 raised to minus 11 Newton meter square divided by kg square. Okay, ये unit is something different. It has मतलब ये unit आया है to just compensate this mass, and we have to get the Newton as a final answer, right? तो अगर देखेंगे तो न्यूटन है केजी स्क्वायर, जिससे जो प्रोडक्ट ऑफ केजी स्क्वायर है वो कैंसिल हो जाएगा, और डिस्टेंस का डिस्टेंस जो भी है उसका स्क्वायर, तो वो भी कैंसिल हो जाएगा अगर हम यहाँ यूज करेंगे तो, राइट? एंड वी विल गेट द फोर्स इन न्यूटन। तो इस प्रकार से उसका यूनिट हमने लिया है। द डायमेंशन ऑफ दिस जी, यूनिवर्सल ग्रेविटेशन कांस्टेंट, दिस इज यूनिवर्सल ग्रेविटेशन कांस्टेंट। जो हम जी यूज करते हैं दैट इज gravitational acceleration. Okay, so don't get confused between capital G and small g. उसका यूनिट होता है मीटर पर सेकेंड स्क्वायर। ओके, so what is the dimension here? L cube meter into meter raised to -1 and t raised to -2। तो ये कहाँ से आया, तो उसे पता करते हैं। न्यूटन इज नथिंग बट किलोग्राम मीटर पर सेकेंड स्क्वायर into meter square divided by kg square, right? So ये निकल जाएगा, then what is remaining is meter cube and second square and kg, right? Meter is unit of length, hence L cube. Then mass, kg is a mass, only kg is remaining, so it is in the denominator, so hence mass into mass raised to -1. And s square is also in denominator, hence time. L is length, m is mass, t is time, so t raised to -2. Hence this dimension of universal gravitation constant is nothing but L cube m raised to -1 and t raised to -2. So the gravitational force is an attractive force. Okay, gravitational force क्या है, वो attractive force, and it acts along the line joining the two bodies. जो भी two bodies होती है उसके along ये act होता है. So what does it mean? Suppose there are two bodies again. So gravitational force is attractive force, right? And it acts along the line joining between the two bodies. तो जो भी ये line join होने वाली होती है two bodies को, उनके along ही ये force exert करता है. The force exerted by two bodies on each other have the same magnitude but have opposite direction and they form the action reaction pair. So हमने पहले देखा कि due to earth moon के ऊपर कुछ force act होगा, and due to moon there is another force acting on the earth. So वो दोनों action and reaction के तौर पर लिए जाएंगे, and magnitude is also same. Let's see some example. The gravitational force between two bodies is 1 Newton. उन्होंने कहा है the gravitational force between two bodies is 1 Newton. If the distance between them is doubled, what will be the gravitational force between them? Okay. Let the masses of two bodies m1 and m2. So हम consider करते हैं two bodies m1 and m2. Okay. So distance between them is r. So force is nothing but F1 is equal to G m1 into m2 divided by r square. When the distance between them is doubled, the force becomes F2. So this is the first case when the distance between them is r, right? When this distance is doubled, so what happens? F2 is nothing but all others remain same. Only distance r से 2r हो जाएगा. Then the 4r square. So we can see that ratio between them is nothing but 4 times. That is So F2 becomes 0.25 Newton. जो पहले 1 Newton था, it will become 0.25 Newton. Okay. So if we increase the distance between two bodies by twice, then their force between them two decreases to 1/4, right? It is always square in proportion of square. So let's see this figure 5.3. It shows 2 point masses M1 and M2. M1 and M2 2 point masses with position vectors. Position vectors is nothing but from the origin is R1 and R2 respectively from the origin O. The position vector of M2 with respect to M1, the position vector of M2 मतलब इस vector position vector of R2 with respect to मतलब जो M2 है with respect to M1 is nothing but R21, okay, and which is given by R2 minus R1. अगर हम लोग R21 ये distance consider कर रहे हैं, then it is R2 minus R1, okay. Similarly, R12 is nothing but distance of M1 with respect to M2 becomes R12, that is nothing but R1 minus R2. That is similarly minus of R21. If we see the formula, we can say that this is nothing but minus of R21. And if R is nothing but distance between them, then this is absolute sign for the R12 and R21. So R12 हमने ये एक वेक्टर पोजीशन वेक्टर लिया and R21 is another vector, right? So उनका जो भी मैग्नीट्यूड है, right? Magnitude is always positive. So अगर मैग्नीट्यूड लेंगे तो whatever the magnitude we have, so that is R. R is nothing but distance between these two bodies. So why we are using these vectors? So vectors is nothing but position vector is R1 is nothing but something x I plus y j plus z k, right? तो I j k और x y z, यहाँ x y z दिया तो x y z is the their coordinate system, right? And I or we will try to write it A, B, and C. Okay, so R1 is nothing but AX plus BY plus CZ, right? So X, Y, or Z is our axis, and A, B, and C is their particular positions, right? In X direction, Y direction, Z direction. So this gives us the vector, position vector in that XYZ coordinate. Hence, we have to use this formula. So हम ऐसे भी कर सकते कि oh, this is simple, like we know the distance between this and this, then we can just do the subtraction. So for vectors, when we are dealing with these three-dimensional figures, we have to use these vectors. Okay, hence this formula comes like R2 minus R1. So this is not simple subtraction, right? So R1 is this, R2 will be the R2 will be something dx plus ey plus fz, right? So ऐसे R2 होगा, तो R2 minus R1 करना है तो हमें we have to use different techniques, right? अगर R1 का भी ये तो वेक्टर हो गया, right? This gives us the direction and the magnitude also. So if we want to find out the magnitude, we have to see that I do not remember exact formula, but this is the something magnitude, right? So this is the मतलब किसी भी वेक्टर्स के लिए हम लोग उसका मैग्नीट्यूड फाइंड आउट कर सकते हैं. सो सेम मैग्नीट्यूड इज R12 हो या R21 हो, तो उनका जो मैग्नीट्यूड है वो तो सेम ही होगा, बिकॉज दैट डिस्टेंस इज सेम. द फॉर्मूला फॉर फोर्स ऑन M2 ड्यू टू M1। अभी M2 पे M1 की वजह से कितना फोर्स है, तो हम उसे कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं, G M1 M2 डिवाइडेड बाय R स्क्वायर माइनस R21, where R21 is the unit vector from M1 to M2. Okay, the force F21 is directed from M2 to M1. So ये force होता है F2 to 1. Okay, directed from M2 to M1. Sorry. So ये force होगा इस तरह से, डायरेक्शन F2 to 1. ओके, ये हो गया ये फोर्स। दूसरा फोर्स क्या है, F12, तो ये हो गया F12। ओके, सो इस प्रकार से ये दो फोर्स हमने कैलकुलेट किए। F21 G M1 into M2 divided by R square, and this is position vector. Similarly, for F12 G M1 M2 divided by R square minus R12. So what does it mean? F12 is equal to minus of F21. So ये हमने देखा अभी, F12 दोनों सेम ही है बट डायरेक्शन अपोजिट होगा, राइट। दिस लॉ रेफर्स टू टू पॉइंट मासेस। तो ये हमने अभी देखा कि ये बिटवीन टू मासेस के बीच में कैसे ये लॉ वर्क होता है। फॉर कलेक्शन ऑफ पॉइंट मासेस, अगर बहुत सारे कलेक्शंस ऑफ पॉइंट मासेस जैसे M1 M2 M3 M4, then what will happen? For a collection of point masses, the force on any one of them is vector sum of gravitational forces exerted by all the other point masses. So ये जो force है, suppose अभी M3 है, F13, again F12 is acting on the force acting on the mass 2 by M1. Okay, same force acting on 4 by M1, right? For M3, again force acting on the mass 3 by M1. So this law refers to the 2 point masses. अभी हमने 2 point masses देखे, तो अगर हम इसे मल्टी पॉइंट मासेस में कंसिडर करेंगे, then it will become the vector sum of all the gravitational forces. So अभी इस फिगर में देख सकते हैं, the resultant force on a point masses M1 is the vector sum of forces like F12, F13 and F14. जो इनका जो वेक्टर सम होगा इस दिस फोर्सेस का, again I'm telling about vector sum because I already explained that R1, right? R1 is nothing but AX plus BY plus CZ. So उस प्रकार से सिमिलरली अगर हम फोर्सेस को भी लेंगे, देन ड्यू टू फोर्सेस का भी एडिशन होता है। So this is called vector addition, right? This is not the similar addition as we have learned, like A plus B, right? It is some different mechanism we have to carry out for this summation of vector summation or vector subtraction. So F12, F13, F14 due to point masses M2, M3, M4 respectively. Okay. So masses M2, M3, M4 are also attracted towards mass M1, and there is also mutual attraction between masses M2, M3 and M4. But these forces are not shown. मतलब अगर देखा जाए तो M3 और M2 के बीच में भी कुछ फोर्स होगा, M3 M4 और M4 M2 के बीच में भी कुछ फोर्स होगा, but that is not shown here. Okay. For n particles, force on ith mass. Okay. So ith मतलब वन मास है, और इनके वजह से बहुत सारे पार्टिकल के जो मास है, सो जितने भी फोर्स होंगे, राइट, जैसे अभी यहाँ 1 है, आईज 1 लेंगे और यहाँ 4 लेंगे, राइट, तो 1 to 4, सो 1 2 1 3 1 4, सो जितने भी फोर्सेस है हम उसे कैलकुलेट करके उसे एडिशन करना होगा। ओके, Fij is nothing but ith particle due to jth particle. So this is I, and on the j similarly. So अगर यहाँ अभी n के जगह कितने पार्टिकल हैं, हम 4 लेंगे तो यहाँ हम 4 यूज कर सकते हैं। ओके, सो इस प्रकार से किसी भी बॉडी पे, राइट, अगर यहाँ बहुत सारे मासेस है, so calculate the force on each particle by that mass, right, जो इस मास के वजह से, राइट, सेंटर वाला मास है, इसके वजह से बाकी जो मासेस है उनके ऊपर जो भी फोर्सेस एक्ट हो रहे हैं उनको कैलकुलेट करो एंड add all those masses. Okay, add all those forces, sorry, then you will get the force on this particle. The gravitational force between an extended object like Earth and a point mass. The gravitational force between an extended object like Earth and a point mass can be obtained by vector sum of the forces on point mass. Okay, so उस point mass के पर का भी हम force calculate कर सकते हैं. On the point mass A, due to each of the point mass which make up the extended object. We can consider the following two special cases for which we can get the simple result. We will state the result here and show how it can be understood qualitatively. The gravitational force of attraction due to hollow, thin spherical shell of the uniform density on a point mass is situated inside is 0. So this is a very special case. Let's see. So एक हम हॉलो शीट लेते हैं, राइट. हॉलो शीट क्या है, तो ये एक शीट है जो हमने ऐसे सर्कुलर में रख दी है, राइट. अंदर कुछ भी नहीं है यहाँ, राइट. तो यहाँ हम एक पार्टिकल रखेंगे. ओके, this can be qualitatively understood as follows. First, let us consider case when a point mass A is at the center of hollow thin shell. So ये क्या है, thin shell है. और इनके बराबर सेंटर में हमने एक मास A रख दिया. And in this case, as very point on the shell is equidistant from A, right? So इस shell का कोई भी हम distance calculate करेंगे तो वो same होगा, right? So all points exert force of equal magnitude on A. So जो भी points है, because of this universal law of gravitation, हर जो masses है वो similarly exactly similar force उसके पर apply करेंगे. All points exert force of equal magnitude on A, but the direction of these forces are different, right? So directions बहुत ही different होंगे. मतलब ये यहाँ से मैं force के लिए, so यहाँ से ये ऐसे force इसके ऊपर act होंगे. Now consider the forces on A due to two diametrical opposite. अभी हम consider करते हैं exactly एक यहाँ, right, और एक यहाँ, two diametrically opposite points. Two diametrically opposite points on the shell. The forces on A due to them will be equal magnitude, right? So इसके वजह से इस point पर जो भी forces होंगे वो equal in magnitude and opposite direction होंगे, right? Will be equal magnitude but will in opposite direction and will cancel each other. Will cancel each other. Thus, forces due to all pairs of points diametrically opposite forces due to all pairs of points diametrically opposite to each other will cancel each other. So ऐसे ही अगर हम another diametrically opposite masses लेंगे तो इस प्रकार से whole जो thin film है हमारी शीट है तो सब पॉइंट्स पे ऐसे ही होगा, राइट. इक्वल एंड अपोजिट फोर्सेस होंगे एंड इट विल बी कैंसल्ड. So at the end, what will be there? There will be no force, right? So no net force on the A due to shell. So इस shell के वजह से उस पर कोई भी force नहीं होगा. When the point object is situated elsewhere inside the shell, the situation is not so symmetric. अगर ये इस ऑब्जेक्ट को हम यहाँ से किधर इधर मूव कर देंगे, राइट, in thin shell के अंदर it is not at the center but it has something different, then it will be not symmetric, then it will see some forces, it will observe some forces, right? So gravitational force varies directly with the mass and inversely with the square of the distance. Okay, so जो भी thin shell, hollow shell है exactly, और हमने जो object रखा है exactly center पे रखा है, then there will be no forces. But if it changes its position, then there will be different forces. Remaining part will be then have a larger masses, but its center of mass is away from A. However, mathematically it can be shown that the net gravitational force on the A is still zero, so as long as it's inside the shell. In fact, the gravitational force at any point inside the any hollow closed object of any shape is zero. So क्या है कि gravitational force जो है, it varies with directly with the mass and inversely proportional to square distance, right? So some part of the shell may be closer to the point A, but its mass is less, right? And remaining part of then will have the larger mass, but its center of mass is away from the A. However, mathematically it can be shown. So इनका कहना है यहाँ कि हम जो hollow thin shell लिया है, इनके बीच किधर भी किसी भी पॉइंट पे इट विल हैव नेट फोर्स जीरो. अगर हम इसे सिमेट्रिक सेंटर पे नहीं होंगे, अगर यहाँ होंगे, ये बॉडी इज नियर टू एनी अदर सरफेस, देन इट विल exert more force from this nearer body, right? But similarly it will have less forces from this side. So it can be shown mathematically, ऐसा कहा है इन्होंने कि it can be shown, however, mathematically it can be shown that the net gravitational force on the A is still zero as long as it is inside the shell. Okay. In fact, the gravitational force at any point inside the any hollow closed object of any shape is zero. Okay. So कोई भी shape में अगर इस thin circular film के अंदर कोई भी object रख देंगे तो it will see the net force zero. Second देखते हैं, the gravitational force of attraction between the hollow spherical shell or solid sphere of uniform density and a point mass situated outside of its is just as if their entire mass of shell or sphere is concentrated at the center of their shell or sphere. तो यहाँ क्या है, between a hollow spherical shell or solid sphere of uniform density, so and a point mass. तो एक sphere है, sphere मतलब हम एक we can take it as a small ball, right, made of uniform density, maybe steel or concrete, so it will have the similar density all over the body. तो उसके बाजू में आउटसाइड अगर कोई पॉइंट मास है तो उनके बीच में how the force works. The gravitational force caused by different regions of shell can be resolved into components along the line joining between the point mass and the center along the direction perpendicular to this line, right? तो हम इस प्रकार से इसके forces calculate कर सकते हैं. Because its mass is concentrated toward the center, ऐसा हम assume कर रहे हैं. So हम इस force को calculate कर सकते हैं between this sphere and small point mass, right? So gravitational force caused by different regions of shell can be resolved into components along the line joining the point mass to the center and along the direction perpendicular to this line. Components perpendicular to this line cancel each other and the resultant force remains along the line joining the point to the center. Sorry. So हमेशा अगर ये concentrated body है, right, like small sphere, right, so और हम point mass outside this body हम लोग consider कर रहे हैं, then the force is nothing but so हम entire mass को यहाँ consider कर रहे हैं ऐसा समझेंगे, and then we can calculate the force between these two bodies. So उन्होंने वही यहाँ कहना चाहते हैं कि this is always we should take it from the center of that bigger mass, and we can calculate the distance between these two, and we can calculate the force along this body and point mass. Okay, so we do not have to, अगर मतलब अगर assume किया जाए तो ये sphere is nothing but made up of small masses, right? But we do not have to consider all these masses. We have to consider that whole mass, and it is concentrated, and the distance we have to take it from the center of that mass, right? So that's where we can calculate the forces. So we know that if earth is, we can assume that that is earth. So हम लोग हमेशा अर्थ के सेंटर से डिस्टेंस मतलब किसी भी बॉडी पर कितना फोर्स, जैसे मून या किसी भी अनदर बॉडीज पर कितना फोर्स एग्जर्ट हो रहा है, अगर कैलकुलेट करना है तो हम मास ऑफ अर्थ लेते हैं and distance from the center of earth. Okay, so this way we calculate the force between them. So it is obvious that case 2 is applicable for any uniform sphere. जैसे हमने कहा, any uniform sphere, like we can take it as earth, right? And applicable for the point mass. So as a point is outside the sphere, अगर ये outside the sphere है तो ये case 2 applicable होगा, right? So let's this is the example we will study next time. Till then, take care. Have a great evening. And if you have any questions, you can ask me.